So I have close to 200 freight cars that I'd like to use on my mile railroad, but obviously I'm not going to have all of them on the layout at once. So today we're going to be building the storage for them underneath our staging yard for where they go when they're not on the train layout. So for operations on my train layout that is in a 40-foot shipping container, we're in the 10-foot room that is my workbench space and kind of the storage hub for the rest of the layout. This underneath here actually is our staging yard for the future layout. Temporarily I have my old 10-foot switching layout on top of it. But since I started doing operations again, I'm running into some issues with car storage. I like to have a lot of variety of cars coming on and off the layout. So the staging yard's kind of where you do that. If you have paperwork or car cards, you rotate cars onto the layout that go to industries, and then you build the trains on the staging yard. So what I would like to do is build storage boxes between the studs directly underneath the staging yard. Yes, I could do drawers that slide out, but because of my workbench space here, I really don't want to lose that height. My lighting is also here, and that works really well. So my thought here is build a box that fits perfectly in between the stud. We got hinges on the back, and then maybe a pin through the front as a latch to hold it up, and then it'll fold down maybe to a 45, and we'll have to test that out, maybe a little bit more than a 45, maybe a couple chains to hold it from swinging all the way down. But then the cars will be stored upright, and maybe some dividers. So far on just this 10-foot switching layout with 3 industries, I have 32 cars that are interchanging throughout the layout. I've started doing some operations. This is a train I just picked up. So we're picking up 3 sand cars. We can get interchanged 3 more into there. We have 1 boxcar we picked up. We have 2 on that track, and we have spots for 3 or 4. We have a bulkhead flat that was unloaded at the transload track, and just different variety of cars. And then these are all the ones that can be brought on an incoming train to swap out the cars that are here now. So lots of variety, but 32 cars for 3 industries. That's all there is. So when I have the big layout started and going, which this staging yard will go right out through the wall, imagine how many more we're going to need. So I'm thinking these flip down boxes will be grab cars, set them up here, take cars off, set them in boxes. Maybe organize them by car type, but we're going to do 3 for now. And then just fit them between those studs. Possibly in the future, drawers down here for maybe locomotives or more storage for cars. Let's start building this thing. All right, so I measured between our studs to figure out what kind of size box we're gonna have. It's actually only gonna be about 2 cars wide by 4 tall. So it's not a ton, which means it's not a ton of weight. So what I'm gonna do, we're gonna use these 1x3s from Home Depot. These are real cheap, and they're actually pretty nice and straight, decent pine. So we're gonna use that as the frame, the box, and then to the bottom we're gonna attach some 1/4-inch plywood. Based on the weight, 1/4-inch is gonna be plenty good. If it was a bigger box, I might do 3/8 or something. I definitely would not do the real thin hardboard like what I covered the walls with, or people use for backdrops. The screws can rip out of that real easy. And with how many cars I'm gonna have in there, the last thing I need is a shelf box falling apart. So we're gonna get this assembled and kind of see how it fits in there, and then figure out how we're going to do the mechanism for it to come down. All right, so obviously got a little bit fancy with it, but this should be the strongest way to make the corners rather than, you know, just a basic overlap, you know, screw in. That'll give me more surface area to glue, and then I will have to pre-drill these though because it's so thin and pine does split pretty easily. So I'll get the frame made and glued up and everything screwed together, and then I'll attach the bottom piece, glue that, and then I have a stack of these, and obviously I cut some slots in there, 1/4 inch for my plywood, and those should be able to be real tight in there. I don't even think I'll have to glue them. I might nail from the back side just to make sure they stay straight across. But yeah, it's coming together nicely. All right, it's assembled, glued. I've got this Clorox solid grip shelf liner. It's like a cushion grip for drawers. I thought that might be good to put down in here. And somehow, I had this stuff laying around. I was going to put it in my drawers for the rest of the train stuff. It's the exact width. It's 20 inches. So didn't plan that, but that'll make cutting a whole lot easier. I'll just cut a bunch to width, and I'll do that before I put my dividers in. All right, so from Home Depot, I got just some little hinges for the back of this. Should work just fine. It's not that much weight. Hinges are pretty heavy. So I'm gonna start with this one. I'm gonna put it up, get my mechanism for dropping it down figured out up here. It's just gonna be a little pin, I think, into the front. And then I'm obviously gonna paint this bottom probably the same brown color. But it fits perfectly up in there. It'll be completely hidden. Won't obstruct my workbench other than when it's down. Now I'm looking at this. I'll have to see how the hinge actually works. Originally I was thinking like there, but that's not gonna be far enough. I thought maybe I put a chain or something to stop it. I'm actually thinking if it goes straight down, it'll be completely fine. Okay. My only issue now looking is the next two over top where all my engines are might be an issue. I was thinking about putting a second shelf up here. In that case, it might just bump into the shelf, not hit the engines, and then I don't have to put them out so far here. But we will have to see. I think I'm gonna get the hinges on here, see how it comes down, see if a stopper is necessary. If they come straight down like that, I can crouch down and grab whatever. That's no big deal. All right, so I'm gonna do an issue with this bolt up here. I might have to notch this a little bit because I do want this to be flush. And also when it's all the way down, which if it was straight, 90 degrees, that's fine. There's no chance the car's tipping out, right? But it will actually go past it. So I'm almost thinking a shelf for additional projects up here might be necessary because it might keep it more about that if it bumps into that shelf. Let's test up some cars in it and make sure we're not going about this the wrong way. So you got two cars, but you know, you can get a long car and a regular car. And I'm really curious about these sand hoppers because I got a bunch of them. I know I'll at least get 3. Yeah, 3 is about all we'll get. Yeah, but I definitely don't like this backwards angle.
And it's got some weight to it, but this is definitely built well enough for it. So I think that looks pretty good. And eventually, like if this doesn't really store that many cars, right? I could just put maybe loose loads, like loads for bulkheads and flat cars. I could put just loads in one of these, or all of them, if I'm just swapping loads out, and then put all the cars down some drawers down below. But yeah, I like that a lot. So here's where I'm gonna get a little fancy again. I found these really nice spring-loaded pin latches on Amazon, but they don't make them long enough because I got a 2x4 and then a fascia piece, the decorative trim, and then there's probably a 1/2 inch gap between the 2x4 frame and the shelf, the box. So they only come in, I think it's like 3.35 inches is the longest they have. So I'm gonna have to make something custom with a little pin. And then I want a knob on the fascia that looks nice. So I'm gonna weld the screw. This is just a drawer knob or a cabinet door knob. I'll weld that on the end there. Then I can slide it in, thread it on, and then it won't be spring loaded, but as long as this thing's all the way in, it'll be holding that shelf up. And it'll have plenty of tension on it to where it's not gonna be easy just to pop out. I'll probably have to lift up on the tray a little bit. See, I got all 3 of them up there. Pull pin. It actually clears a locomotive on the front of the shelf here, so it's somehow perfect. No clue how that happened. This does need to be stapled, but I think if I put the shelf back here in the wall for additional locomotives, it'll probably be at an angle like that, which is just perfect. Yeah, let's load them up, test it out. Well, thank you guys for checking out the video. Now when I want to pull out a different car for operations, it's just that easy. They're all right there below my staging. So turned out clean, looks nice, pins worked out real well, and I'm happy with it. So let me know what you guys think. It's a different little project, but thanks for watching the video. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one.